present. Okay. So hello everyone, and today I'm super excited to have Jānis with us. He is an expert on, as I said in the email when I presented, everything IT. That was the impression that I got when I spoke to him, when I researched him, and I'm very, very excited to have you, Jānis, with us. Please take the most from today, because I think this is a really, really good chance. Jānis will explain his approach to the session today, which I think is really good, and I'm excited to have this presentation already to share it with you and to have it myself. So Jānis, the floor is yours. I have made you the co-host. Yes, so you can share the screen. Wonderful. Let's begin today.
Yeah, so first question, do you see my screen?
Yes,
okay,
yes, we do.
Cool. And also, before we start, I wanted to say that I'm always a little nervous before doing larger presentations, even though I've been kind of a manager of a business incubator in the University of Latvia before. My previous experience is building, basically I've been a business developer for a startup. Then later I made my own startup. I have expertise in blockchain technologies, cryptocurrencies, which was my first startup. In fact, one of the first such startups in terms of blockchain and cryptocurrencies in Latvia. It was back in 2016-17. Then later on, I got to know the market, and I understood that there is a bigger things that I could build in, like I would say, in a normal financial industry. And I got a larger experience in identity technologies, signatures, signing documents outside of the office, which would be that like these digital signatures, which are common, I think, mostly in Baltics, not that much in other countries. So later on, I've been participant in several startup accelerators, won several pitch competitions in large international conferences, been quite a lot in different countries around the world, presenting my own startups and everything. And so here is my experience, and basically on that I built a strategy that I actually use for myself. And currently what I am doing is I am a country manager of a BankUp. BankUp is a product for small and medium enterprises, and BankUp is kind of a product of a larger company called Unified Post. And currently we are in 26 countries. I am country manager here in Latvia, and basically this go-to-market strategy is something that I really needed to build before I started my own like ventures here. And this BankUp is basically also built on this similar strategy what I have here. And I adjusted some things in this presentation as well, because I understand that now not all the companies are IT companies, not all the companies are related to financial sector and everything, but I think that you might find it useful of what I'm going to present. And before we start, I wanted also to say that this presentation is made in a way as a not a go-to, but as a guidelines, which you will be able to use later to develop your own go-to-market strategy and choose your own sales channels. So this presentation, what I'll be showing you, is very much full of content. There is so much text in there. I hope you won't get lost in it, but that's why I'm here. I will try to guide you through to it. And of course, after this presentation, I allow to contact me. So this email here is the way how you can find me. And also, if you use LinkedIn or Facebook, you can find me there. And then, of course, you can write me directly. And if Linda allows, then of course I can do some additional presentations, and if needed, of course, and so on. So what I wanted to say before is this: that sales channels and market strategy is not the only expertise I have. I am working in a business development part mostly, but I also have knowledge in doing partnerships, financials, attracting investments, from accelerators, investors, and building a company which could work internationally as well. So, and that's a little bit about me. Yeah, this presentation will consist in 3 parts. In total, there are 20 slides, but the first part will be an introduction, and then and then I divided the strategy, how this go-to-market strategy should be developed in 2 parts. Where first one is gathering data and how to do it, and how to find necessary information in your local market or the market you choose to go to. And also the third part will be about how this strategy should be developed. And let's start with introduction. And here I wanted to start with actually an example of Taxify. I'm not sure if you would know what this Taxify is or what Bolt is, but several years ago, this young guy, he's actually younger than me. He's like, I don't know, currently he's 24, but at the time he was like 19. He had his idea of like kind of a creating something similar what is Uber, but here in Baltics. Actually, he's an Estonian, but still, as you know, Latvia and Estonia are very small countries. So basically what happens in Estonia usually happens also here in Latvia. And this Markus Willig is his name. He had his idea of actually providing his app to the taxi drivers, which would allow them to attract customers in order to find the rides across the city. The problem was this, that this idea, he asked his mom, like, I think 5,000 euros. With those 5,000 euros, he managed to find a programmer who programmed him this app. And he showed this app to the taxi drivers. Initially, there were several taxi drivers who said that, okay, when you will go live, I will be happy to use this app in order to find my, like these customers. Initially, it was a good idea. This was his go-to-market strategy, just to go and ask outside to the taxi drivers. But really fast, he understood that it's not how it should go, because none of the taxi drivers would be able to find their customers. So he understood that he should go to the taxi companies themselves and said, and he actually provided them and asked that if your company will use this app, you will be able basically to get rid of this phone calling center that you have in your office. And this phone calling center was a big burden for each taxi company, because usually those phone calls didn't understand which place this taxi driver should go. But this app would allow them to really understand where this customer is. Basically, he created very much similar, basically the same product, what is Uber, but the go-to-market strategy was very much different. He didn't go directly to taxi drivers, but he went to taxi companies themselves. So this is one big thing of how to think about this go-to-market strategy, that not always the the instantly obvious user of your product is always the correct strategy how you could access your market. And therefore, several years later, I think it's 6 years later, he's now a 2 billion worth startup here in Europe, and is one of the first, if not the first, unicorns in Estonian market. Now there are 6 more than $1 billion worth companies there in Estonia, but his idea actually was successful, and not exactly his idea, because there was Uber already in place, but the way how he is acquiring the market. And this presentation will be about how to acquire a market and to find the best way how to do it, because not always the most obvious way how to do it is always the right way. Usually you need to find and look deeper in order to understand what's happening here. And this will allow you to, of course, find the correct sales channel, marketing, distribution methods, communication strategy, pricing, and of course, understanding your own product. Does it suit your market needs, of course? And here is a little wrap up of what I said already. Market research or data analysis is the fundamental part of this go-to-market plan, which will later allow you to create this part, which is actually this go-to-market strategy or plan, what it is. And as I mentioned, then this presentation is built as a guidelines. So after this presentation, I will be sending you this material. You will be able to create on your own what is in here. And that's, I think, it for this slide. The next slide is I'm showing you how this strategy should be built. Basically, in data acquisition part, you are looking up all the information regarding market characteristics. You're looking all the information regarding market needs, about market competition, market stakeholders. Don't worry, I will show you how to do it. Then you will be doing analysis based on this information, and this analysis essentially will be your go-to-market plan, in fact. And this go-to-market plan usually consists of 5 parts, which is market segmentation, like how the market is segmented, distribution channels. This is, I think, the main topic why I'm here. And then the product characteristics also is very important, because not so many things that are working here would be working in different countries. And then product characteristics means that, of course, language is the most obvious one, but there might be some limitations in regards of like jurisdiction should be a problem or whatever else is there. So basically understanding this, then pricing, of course, because this comes from the market competition, and communication plan, which is kind of a wrap up of everything, how you will communicate your product to your audience. And I think some of those parts have already been presented to you previously, but this time I will try to tell you how this general strategy should be made. And hopefully this will be helpful to you. So what is market characteristics? And it means that what does your chosen market look like? What is the tendency of the market to use products whose value proposition corresponds to what is offered by your product? So by value proposition, you understand that Taxify or this Bolt product, what I mentioned you previously, its value proposition is not always like fast driving by end customer or accessing the taxi drivers, but maybe it is a dispatcher or I don't know in English the correct word, but the person who is like call center, replacing call center with IT technology. This might be also a value proposition, basically the fastest way how you can access the driver to the customer. And what is currently happening in the market and what tools are currently used. The market needs means that what regulations and local businesses or customer requirements and practices must be followed to distribute the product in your chosen market. For example, in Latvia, products usually should be translated, at least in Latvian. We also, very common language here is Russian, but also since we are in European Union, English language is also very common here, as you understand speaking. And so it means that in Latvian, 3 languages would be a cool thing to have. Also, if you are looking for IT products and everything, then you should understand that we are part of European Union. We have this GDPR regulation in place, which means how you gather data and everything. So this regulation also comes in this place. So then the market competition, who offers services, products that compete with your offer? I think this is most obvious one. And how successful are they? Also, understanding your market competition is important, because not always competitors in your market should be considered as your enemies. Sometimes your competitor can also be your business partner as well. And in fact, in my previous experience, I've seen that sometimes the competitors even actually are your strategy to exit. For example, not always the competitor is similar to you. Most, if you are a young startup and new company coming up, some companies, you are not known in the market. However, for the larger company who's been in the market for 20 years, for example, this one specific product that you are having might be one of their million other products, and there could be a possibility that this one small product that they have is actually not very interesting for themselves. And if you can prove that you are better in the industry, that they are not looking directly into it, then it is possible that you can actually acquire, or you could be acquired by this company as well. I think good example would be that when Facebook appeared in the market, then MySpace was already in already accessible in the world. And thinking from this time, it was like a very brave idea actually to create a Facebook, even though there was MySpace already in place. However, Facebook was quite a better solution, and they understood the market better, and MySpace actually was part of larger organization, and therefore they didn't put much effort into understanding their market. Therefore, Facebook was more flexible in order of features what they had and everything, and later on they basically acquired the largest market in social networking scene. And as you know, MySpace is basically something almost non-existent in our daily language. What else? Market stakeholders, and by stakeholders I mean organizations or companies or whatever else is there who has access to your selected customer segment. I would say, in my experience and what I'm currently working on, I'm basically building my company. What I'm doing is we are building kind of a solution that allows to exchange invoices. Smaller, medium-sized companies can create an invoice and send it to others. That's a cool thing. But there is another feature which allows to connect it to the your outsourced accountant, and therefore, actually, my sales channel in this case, I'm not actually selling the product to the user who will be using it, but I'm actually selling the product to this outsourced accountant. So therefore, I'm looking for the outsourced accountant associations, which would allow me to basically promote my product through their channels because they have access to my actual customers. And I think the most obvious example would be also like when you see a TV commercials, you always see some kids commercials, and you understand that the buyer won't be a kid; it will be his parent or whatever. So basically, they are trying to kind of target a kid who will later then ask his parent to buy him this toy or something else. So this is a way how to think of these stakeholders and how to understand the market. Not always I don't know, the end customer will be the one who you need to access. Yeah, and so we come to this second part, which is a data acquisition. And be aware, starting from this slide, there will be quite a lot of text in the slides, but I tried to make it very like viewable and understandable, and there will be kind of a sheets seen in the slides. These will be made in question. There will be a question, and then I made it up in a way that you will be able to understand what answer should be put in the place. And the data acquisition part is made in a form of questions. By answering questions, you will be able to create a basis for developing this go-to-market strategy. And and here I'm saying also my suggestions, because this presentation will send to you, try to get the most detailed and high quality data as possible. I will, if you need it, of course, I can always give you data sources and places where you would like to see. Of course, my experience is mostly in Latvia, but also I'm aware of Baltic countries, and in previous experience, I'm been exporting products to Scandinavian countries, and basically European Union as a whole is my where I understand it better. Maybe outside Europe, I won't be that good to understand and not so much things. But if you are looking for some help